Hi, I'm Sarah Hewen and you're watching The Market Bull. It's time to dive into this week's Market Bulletin. It was a mostly positive week for global markets, headlined by the Nasdaq, which surged as investors regained confidence in tech stocks, driven by positive earnings reports and cooling inflation data in the US. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 and Dow Jones both closed the week higher, buoyed by optimism that the Federal Reserve may look to begin cutting interest rates. Across the Atlantic, European markets saw cautious optimism, with the FTSE 100 up 1%, bolstered by gains in energy and mining sectors. Back home, the ASX held steady after a strong bounce back on Thursday, driven primarily by resource stocks and rising commodity prices. Two commodities and copper stole the spotlight this week, surging to a record $5.60 US per pound. The sharp rise was triggered by President Trump's plans to implement a 50% tariff on US copper imports, reshaping global trade flows and tightening inventories outside the US. Analysts forecast continued strength for copper, backed by strong demand from renewable energy sectors. Gold continues to hold near record highs, sitting above $3,300 US per ounce. Back home, the Reserve Bank delivered the week's biggest financial headline, deciding to keep interest rates on hold. The RBA is concerned that services inflation remains sticky, particularly in sectors like housing, insurance, and education. Despite market hopes for rate cuts, Governor Michelle Bullock reiterated the board remains data dependent and preferred to wait on July's inflation numbers before considering a possible rate cut in August. Our small cap mover of the week is Imagine Biosystems, soaring over 80% following positive feedback from the US FDA. The approval path for IBX's MagSense HER2 imaging agent for breast cancer detection received significant regulatory endorsement, sparking investor enthusiasm and positioning Imagine as a biotech junior to keep a close eye on. That wraps up this week's Market Bulletin. As always, keep up to date on the latest finance news at themarketbull.com.au, and we'll be back to recap it all again next week.